Right, so welcome. My name is Jen from Navigate Life Transitions, and I'm here with Kirsten Samuel, and we're going to have a discussion about spirituality and relationships. So, welcome, Kirsten. So good to have you here.
Thank you, Jen. It's great to be with you.
Awesome. Thank you. So, I've been talking about what our what our relationships are and how they reflect back to us, like where we are on our spiritual journey, and even like how we're reflecting back to them where they are. And it's very interesting, especially like the more intimate relationships such as marriage, or being with a partner, being in a family. But sometimes we take things for granted, and then there could be like an outside event or catalyst that kind of brings everything like out on the table. Uh,
hmm
just kind of curious, like your feeling or experience around that.
Yes, well, in the work that I do, Jen, which is working with women who've discovered their husband is or significant other has been viewing porn, and they didn't know about it, or there's these kinds of secrets in a marriage specifically, but it can be in a long-term relationship as well. The devastation that comes from that, and how we need to, we all think that, well, at least I did. Let me speak for myself. I thought that, when I got married, I got married, I found the man I wanted to live my life with, but I didn't understand how relationships need to be nurtured and how it is so important to be on the same page spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and so that we can develop our intimacy, especially in these core relationships. And when those core relationships are not being nurtured and putting a focus on, then we fall into these behavioral patterns that really cause problems in the relationship that actually drive the wedge instead of drawing us closer.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Thank you. I have this odd relationship with the word betrayal, because I've experienced it. And I think you don't really understand the depth of what it means until it happens to you. And but I feel like I had a responsibility to speak up in
Mhm.
this relationship, so they knew what their actions, how it affected me. So because I don't believe like people betray, most people, I would say anyway, on purpose. Like it's
Mhm.
usually not malicious, it's usually selfish, like
Mhm.
this is what I want, this makes me feel good, and not putting the relationship like even on the radar. So I kind of like talking about that, like that devastation, what it means, and how important it is to have that communicated and understood by both parties.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't believe that, at least in my experience and in many of the clients, I don't believe that when the betrayal occurred, it was malicious, as you said. It wasn't necessarily premeditated. It was often, as you mentioned, very selfish. It's just, well, this is all about me, and so I don't see how it's affecting you. Now, I mean, I mentioned specifically the pornography betrayal, and that is one of the lies associated with pornography use is I'm not hurting anybody. It's just me. I'm just looking at an image or whatever.
Mhm.
There's so much in that that can be unpacked, but that is a lie that we tell ourselves. And there's other forms of betrayal. There's people that habitually lie to you. That every time they tell you, you ask them a question, they say, "Oh no, I never did that," and yet you find out they did.
Mhm.
It could be someone who is struggling with financial infidelity, which is lying about the money that you're spending to the significant your partner or your husband, wife, whatever. That's still betrayal. And so
Right.
betrayal carries many things, but understanding what happens specifically to a woman who experiences betrayal, usually an intimate betrayal, which is pornography addiction, an extramarital affair, something like that. That kind of betrayal cuts a woman to the core of her being.
Yeah.
This is part of your story. It's part of my story. And 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 it's hard to describe that, like you said, it's hard to describe that to someone who has not experienced it. But when you experience that kind of betrayal, you really do have to begin to get the help that you need to overcome what's happened to you. Because I interpreted my husband's pornography use as there was something wrong with me,
Mm.
which wasn't the case.
Mhm.
And even though he told me as we were recovering, he kept saying, "This wasn't really even about you. I love you. I adore you. I think you're beautiful. I can't believe I get to be married to you." All of those things. I still couldn't believe that until I started to do the deep inner work that I had to do, till I really began to take this to God and say, what's the truth here?
Mm.
Who am I? And that's, I think, one of the key parts of betrayal for a woman is it attacks our identity. We don't know who we are. We all of a sudden we thought we were fill in the blank,
Right.
and betrayal just shatters that. Is that what you experienced?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Yeah, how you said like it questioning my own identity, who I am, like what did I do to deserve this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very and it's like not even like I said on the radar of like how destructive it was and in the relationship and repairing that is it's very complex, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, and it's it's very hard to come back. You can't come back
No.
to where you were because
Right.
once you know something, you can't unknow it, right?
Right.
So, but it's, bringing them on the journey, you know, as well.
Right.
So you're not taking responsibility for the pain that they caused you.
Right. I always tell my clients, and I had to realize this myself, is you don't go back. Your path has altered for the rest of your life.
Right.
And for my husband and me, that road back to having a healthy relationship took both of us. It took him doing the work he needed to do. It took me doing the work I needed to do, and then the two of us coming together, doing the work together to build a relationship that was built on ultimately complete vulnerability. And that is a difficult place to get to. Even today, 19 years beyond where we started this journey, there are times when even I step back and I'm like, well, I don't really want to be vulnerable here, but it's the secrets, it's the
Mhm.
hiding that perpetuates the problem. And the lie that goes through our head is, well, he doesn't need to know that, or she doesn't need to know that, and if I tell her that, it's gonna hurt. Well, it may hurt, but
Mhm.
the not telling hurts more.
Right.
And so that vulnerable piece of saying that I'm going to trust you, whoever that person is, I'm going to trust you with the parts of me that nobody knows. And I'm going
Yeah.
to trust you to hold my heart in your hands very carefully and treat me with the utmost respect and honor and understand that you're holding my heart, literally holding my heart. And that's what hurts so much in betrayal is because you trusted your heart. You trusted the deep parts of yourself to another person and they misused that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's beautiful how you share that because that is the truth of it like, in these relationships and yeah, going into that deep vulnerable space and honoring that and being like this is something that we need to nurture and take care of because
Hmm.
it is a gift and it is special and when I first met my husband, I was very young. I was 18. I just had my daughter. And I was like, I just want a partner. And meeting my husband, even though we were very young, it was a miracle. I knew it was a gift from God. And the betrayal happened shortly after that. And because he believed or he was told that he was too young to be this serious. And
Mm,
he started dating other people without telling me.
mm-hmm.
So that was the betrayal that I experienced. We dated 9.5 years because it was like we knew we were together, but we weren't ready to
Sure.
build our life together. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that going into the our marriage, I was like, I had to know for sure that that was not something I would ever have to worry about or deal with again. Because it was
Mm-hmm.
like, I will never be hurt that way again. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I got hurt in other ways, but that I knew. I was like, it's a deal breaker, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I
Is that
experienced it early and that we came together as more mature, you know, than otherwise. I mean, we were still young when we got married, but and everything that we've experienced since it is I know that it's a gift and nobody yeah, we were definitely brought together, I would say, by God and the things that we discover about each other, it's like, wow,
mm-hmm.
this is like confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
So and I love the work that you do in honoring this with with other marriages or couples. And um, I sometimes what I get concerned about, and because I've experienced it with myself, is women tend to put their relationships over their own individual
Mm-hmm.
needs. Could
Mm-hmm.
you touch a little bit about that?
Yeah. You know that there was a movie they came out many, many years ago, Jerry Maguire, and everybody raved about the movie and the one line at the end of "You complete me." And
Hmm.
when I heard that line, I just yelled no, because a healthy relationship is two complete people
Hmm.
coming together, creating a new relationship that is strong because of what they bring to that relationship. You are not completed by your spouse, that because you are an individual. You are created in God's image, and He has given you gifts and abilities and talents that He wants you to use for His honor and glory. Now, He didn't say you can't use those until somebody else comes along. And we've had this rom-com, we've had this Disney idea of marriage and love and all of that, and it's so wrong.
Yeah.
It's just not the way God designed it. God designed it, first of all, that we are in His image, that He loves us, that Jesus came and died on the cross for our sins, and He provided the way that we could be into a deep, intimate, loving relationship with God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. He provided that. That was the gift. That was what we all needed. And when we do that, it says that we are complete in Jesus Christ. So, therefore, when you come together as husband and wife, and both of you are in that position, you come together as two complete people who are joining their lives to move forward into whatever God has called you into. You don't lose yourself. I tell a woman, no, if you do not bring all of you, all of the uniqueness, the beauty, the creativity, the talents, the intelligence, if you don't bring that to relationship, you're actually robbing your husband.
Mm.
You are depriving him of knowing you. You can't be vulnerable. So if there's two people in a relationship and one of them has no input, one of you is redundant.
Uh, yeah.
You've got to realize that the strength in the relationship comes from these two people joining forces. coming together, not diminishing, but complementing, collaborating, bringing the best. And then what comes forward out of that is is so unbelievably magnificent. My
Yeah.
husband and I say, I wouldn't be doing half the things I'm doing if it wasn't for him. He wouldn't be doing half the things he wasn't wouldn't be doing if it wasn't for me and my encouragement and the gifts and abilities I bring. You as a woman are valuable. You have things that are important to be said. And when one partner tries to dominate the other, that relationship is hurting. That relationship is unhealthy. That relationship is missing out on the richness of both people functioning as they should be functioning.
Yeah. Absolutely. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Well, how do you address this when you're working with couples, like to honor both the husband and the wife, so there's like a clearer understanding. I love the way you said it, and I could imagine being in your presence, and it's just kind of like the light coming in, all the secrets and that habitual. Um, I'll say like taking advantage of or taking for granted the
Mhm.
other's presence in their life. So yeah, how would you like address that with a couple?
With both husband and wife.
Yes.
One of the things I do is I have a couple of tests that I give them, and they're all to tell me about who they are as people. Okay,
Mhm.
so my husband and I do coaching together when we work with couples, and what that tells us is, okay, here's strengths, here's strengths. We use a profile called the equipping profile, which really tells us how people process through information. And the beauty of that is when each one can see the strengths of the other. And we say, do you see, for example, that this woman is gifted in project management? I mean, she's got this business brain that just, and you're entrepreneurial. Well, the two of you working together, now you get her strength in the project management, in the entrepreneurial side. She's dreaming right along with you. You've got the gifts, you've got the business acumen as well to go forward, but you bring this project management into her where maybe he's like, I see the big picture, but she sees the nitty-gritty details. Now, do you see
Hmm.
how those merge together?
Yep.
And that creates the stronger whole. That's one of the things that, I love to see when I see that. But what are the areas where, you might have someone who's very outgoing in a relationship. Just they are people. They are energized by being with people, and then they marry someone who's just not the same way. They marry
Right.
someone who's a little bit more quiet, a little bit more behind the scenes. Well, here's the beauty in that. The the outgoing person doesn't pick up on in a mixed group setting. If you're out on a social event or you have people over to your home, he's, let's say it's the man who's got the outgoing personality. He's going to make everyone feel really comfortable being there. He's going to know everybody's name within
Mhm.
about 5 minutes. He's already met everybody in the room. He's going to know everybody's name. Where his wife, who's a little bit quieter, is picking up on the fact that, oh, this person over here, there's something going on. And she'll go over and she'll ask some questions, and she'll just say, tell me more. She'll get to know this person, and she starts picking up on some signals that he's completely missing, but that's her gift. That's who
Mm.
she's created to be. She's created to be, a friend said this, a friend of mine is just, she's very outgoing. She's very gregarious. Everybody in the room thinks that she's their best friend. Okay. She's the best friend of every person in the room. And then here's how she describes herself. She says, I'm a mile wide and an inch deep. And she looked at me and she goes, but you're an inch wide and a mile deep. And we need both. And so if you look at the ways that your gifts and abilities between the two of you come together, it's not that one of you is wrong. It's that you're the complement. You're the one that comes alongside in 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 Genesis. It talks about that when Adam was created and then Eve was created, she was his complement. She came alongside.
Mhm.
She didn't complete him, she complemented him. She had gifts and abilities that he didn't.
Yeah.
And the two of them then go together. And so we love to, when I'm working with couples, when Dave and I are working with couples, we love to see where these are and help them understand that what they've thought maybe has been negative has
Hmm.
actually been a strength they haven't been tapping into.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And as you're speaking, I'm appreciating, and I hope this comes across, what a gift marriage is and how God kind of pairs us up as as partners that we complement each other and like one strength, assists the other one's weaknesses and it's back and forth. It's not a clean divide line. It's more of a, what did I say? It's not 50-50. It goes somewhere between 10 to 80, like, because it's like who has the ball, who's, taking care of things now.
Mhm.
So I love how you shared that and to honor each other, to put it, um, so that we have a safe space to fall
Right.
and be vulnerable with another human being,
Right.
because the goal is that we live this life together and like in tandem and working it out so that we actually are um, a, a benefit to our community,
Hmm.
as a whole. And
And to our children. I mean, if you're blessed with having children, children who grow up in a home where the parents are committed to working on this relationship, where they see the strengths in the other and they call those out, and they take advantage of those strengths in the other. Those children are so secure. They've got just this head. I think they've got a leg up in the world because they
Mhm.
know that this is possible. It doesn't mean, and I want to be really careful with this, doesn't mean that there's not disagreement. See, conflict in a relationship isn't bad,
Right,
because if there's not ever any conflict, then I have to wonder, are you being honest with each other?
right.
Because even though my husband and I have the same faith background, we have so many things in common, even in the way that we were raised in our families of origin, we still don't agree 100% on everything. And that's when, learning to communicate, learning to have hard conversations with each other, that you learn how to work through an issue till you get to the point where you're both are like, wow, that's better than we either one of us ever thought. And
Yeah.
we were working with a couple and they asked us a question about this, and I said, when it comes to the major decisions in your life together, you have to be 100% in agreement. Because if you're not at 100% in agreement, then resentment starts to build. And if you're not talking about it, if you're not being honest, again, being vulnerable, like this really makes me feel uncomfortable because, and you fill in the blank
Hmm.
with your spouse, then you're it's like somebody tied a rope to your leg and to a tree and you can't go any further. You're stuck. But if you will push into it, if you will work through it, and sometimes that means you need to get help, whether that's
Hmm.
coaching, whether that's counseling, whatever, if seeing a pastor, seeing a priest, whatever, you need some help to navigate through that. That's not negative. That's positive.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. It does make it stronger because then we don't have to adopt a version of ourselves that'll be more pleasing or
Right.
whatever. That's actually a false self. And I would say we've had, I would say like the similar or same conflict that kind of repeats itself, but we address it at different angles or we understand it like at deeper levels, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. So it's like, and even if we're not 100% in agreement, we come to some kind of compromise or something like this time, you know, um, like I'll give into, what you're looking for, how you want to resolve, but it is a like, to be willing to make those compromises. And again, going back and forth, so it's not one-sided all the time.
Right. Yeah, and there are some of those disagreements where you're not going to get your way the whole time, and it's okay. The ones that I'm talking about are like, are we going to move? Are
Yeah.
we going to change location? Um, what kind of, like job? When my husband, we moved almost 3 years ago now after being
Mm.
32 years in one location. And when this opportunity came up, he looked at me and he goes, I just really need to know what you're thinking. Because he said, if we're not in 100% agreement on this, we're not going to do it. It's too big a thing. So there are those big major decisions, and those are the ones that I believe you have to be in 100% agreement on.
Mm.
Otherwise, you start to have you build things that you don't want to build. And and there were many facets in that decision that we had to make, because there were a lot of other factors. But we did get to a point where both of us came to the exact same conclusion. And
Mm.
when we got there, there was this complete peace, there was complete unity. We had talked it all out. There were no regrets on my part. There were none on his. There was nothing like he felt like I pushed him or I felt like he pushed him. And when you can get there and you work through all of the hard stuff to get there, now you're in a different place in the relationship, and you have much more confidence in each other and feel much more secure in each other because you've been heard. Each
Yeah.
one has been heard, and that's part of building and working on that relationship.
Yes. Thank you for that. That's so beautiful. And when we do show up that way for each other, it does deepen like the respect
Hmm.
and the appreciation for the other, that you want to be more in cohesion than not.
Right.
Like that's like our deeper desire. So I just like to close with this. If every relationship we experience is an invitation to know ourselves more deeply, what do you think our relationships are ultimately trying to teach us about love?
Hmm. Well, this might seem like a funny answer, but you can't love someone else if you don't love yourself.
Mm.
So if you have not accepted who you are, then you can't accept another person, really, as they are. Because no one living on this earth is perfect. There is no perfect guy to marry. There's no perfect woman. That doesn't exist. So if I want my husband to love me, then I need to be understanding and loving of myself. Just the other day, I was frustrated because I'm a recovering perfectionist
Mm.
and I didn't do something perfectly. And I was frustrated with myself and I made a nasty comment about myself. And he said, please don't speak about my wife that way.
Oh, I love that.
Because see, he loves me. He understands that I'm not perfect. And
Yeah.
I understand I'm not perfect, but I sure want to be. And I'm a recovering perfectionist. But when I speak about myself negatively, when I mean, with a lot of my coaching clients, I tell them, I want you to go talk to the woman in the mirror.
Mm.
And they all laugh. They look at me like I'm losing my mind. I said, no, I'm really serious. I want you to go stand in front of a mirror and I want you to talk to the woman in the mirror. Listen to how you're talking. Is that how you would talk to your best friend? And a lot of times we don't understand that we say things to ourselves that we are hearing because we say them out loud. Like, well, that you idiot.
Yeah.
I called myself a ding dong. And that's what
Mm.
my husband called me out on it.
Mm. Yeah.
You hear that. and you interpret that as there's something wrong with you. Now, you are not perfect. You will not be perfect your entire life. We aren't striving for perfection, but we are striving to be who we are and to learn and to grow. So in a
Yeah,
relationship, you can't love the other person and accept their foibles, their inconsistencies, their mistakes if you haven't learned to accept your own.
right. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm taking that piece with me for sure. Thank you. It's almost like it's like we get to level up to be in these relationships because we want
Mhm.
to show up as our best selves and and appreciating and loving ourselves. We have a lot to give,
Mhm.
and people are better off having us in their lives. So,
Right.
yes. So,
Yes.
thank you so much. And Kirsten, how can people find you if they're looking to work with you or have questions?
Absolutely. Thank you. You can go to my website, which is kirstendsamuel.com. And Jen, you have that
Yes.
link. You can also find me on social media. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and it's Kirsten D. Samuel all the way across the board. So it's really easy to find me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kirsten. I really loved having this discussion with you today, and I really think it's going to help a lot of people. Well,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Jen. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. Take care.